You never say no to crazy ideas. So all of the visual effects were done at 240 frames per second. I was surprised at how little my professional career changed.
Thanks for joining us. This is our third interview on the Creators Channel. I am joined by Chris Clements of FX It in Post, or did you say Fix It in Post or FX It in Post?
Originally, it was Fix It in Post. It was supposed to be FIX, but the guys who owned the domain wanted to charge like $20,000. I plugged in on GoDaddy like FX It in Post. I'm like, yeah, visual effects, that works. And It was $12.99 to get that name. So that's where it went. So yeah, it's still Fix It in Post.
You're probably best known, I would say, for Scene 38 Reimagined, 26 million views on YouTube. I saw somewhere you put in 2.5 years to make this thing happen.
Yes. A friend of mine, Philip Silvera, I've been working with him for about 7 or 8 years now, and he's a stunt coordinator. He stunt coordinated Deadpool and Daredevil and a bunch of other stuff people might have seen. And he hit me up with this idea it was right after Rogue One came out, and the infamous hallway scene of like Vader just tearing through everyone, and he was like, I feel like we gotta redo A New Hope, because it's such a short time period between the Rogue One scene and the duel between Kenobi and Vader in A New Hope. We gotta bring this up to par and show Vader in that light. And so he's like, do you think we could do that? I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, you never say no to crazy ideas, and didn't realize how crazy of an idea it was. We started working on it immediately and doing pre-production, and we shot a previs of it, and sort of used that to get everyone else on board, because it was completely a labor of love. It was everyone donating their time, from the stunt guys to the riggers to the makeup. And so we shot that, I believe, in early March of 2017. And from March till literally 10 minutes before it was uploaded, I was fixing it in post.
For those of you that haven't seen it, it's a must watch. It's going to be one of those Star Wars YouTube staples that's going to be referenced and brought up for till the end of time. Chris, I don't know if you've seen like Ryan versus Dorkman, but that's like...
Oh yeah, those guys were inspiring me back in the day. I actually got into visual effects for a Star Wars fan film back in 2008. Lucas used to do a fan film contest every year. A buddy of mine came to me and was, because I've been doing film for a while, and he's like, hey, we should try and do a Star Wars thing. And I was like, well, why not? And that's when I learned how to roto lightsabers, and I spent a stupid amount of time learning visual effects and running through all the Andrew Kramer tutorials that I could find. That was like my first foot in with creating Star Wars content, was all the way back then. So it was an interesting full circle.
How did you do it?
It was really bad, but it was a great entry point in learning how difficult visual effects can be and how mind-numbing it can be at times. I think the fact that I was not deterred at that point meant that, like, okay, there's maybe a future here.
How long ago now did you release Scene 38? It was like
about a year. About a year ago.
1 year, yeah. Are there any tools that have come out in that period that you wish you could have utilized for Scene 38?
Deepfake, definitely. Deepfake was something that was obviously around like probably the entire time I was working on it. I just was not aware of it. I feel like the face replacements was probably the weakest part. There was some moments that were pretty gnarly that still, when I watch it, I'm just like, it hurts.
You're done with that big project. You released a very awesome Punisher short on Fix It in Post as well.
Right. Eric Linden, who directed that short film, he was the Punisher stunt double on the Marvel series. He was up for the job to get the second season, the stunt coordinator. And so he wanted to kind of show them some of his ideas for the action. And so he hit me up and he's like, hey, can we do this thing? I'm like, I am so deep into Scene 38 right now. Like, I don't know, I can't really promise anything, but I'll do what I can. Fortunately, there was some time that I was able to crank it out. And I had a couple of other like really amazing artists that helped with some of the simulation stuff with the blood hitting the back of the wall and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I love that shot.
That might have been one of the hardest shots that I've ever worked on. And we shot it at 240 frames per second. And we wanted to retain the ability to speed ramp that shot up until the end. So all of the visual effects were done at 240 frames per second.
I also saw a little teaser for the next Star Wars project that you're working on.
Yeah, so Cloud City Reimagined. That one people are a lot less excited about because I think it's maybe universally accepted, or at least it's one of maybe the top 2 or 3 Star Wars duels in the entire series. I think there is some room to adjust some moments within it. It's not going to be the same as Scene 38, where we're sort of doing an entire reimagining. Instead, we're going to be keeping way more of the original footage in there and adjusting some moments that maybe are a little hokey, or I envision to be a little bit more epic, for lack of a better word. I bought an XN suit and I started thinking about like, what can I use this for to learn, like a project to learn this software and this hardware on. And of course, I'm getting emails by the day on what's happening next. It sort of made sense to create something that I knew would get a lot of feedback. Doesn't need to be positive, just to me, it seemed like a great opportunity to try and couple the XNs with like some content that I knew would work. So it was the XNs and then learning Unreal Engine and bringing those together. And so that was like a big kind of inspiration Kickstarter.
Throw up the Patreon for Fix It in Post. Cool.
Thanks,
everybody go donate. Yeah, make it happen.
The pandemic has slowed us down a little bit, obviously, like being able to get together and do some of the stunt work. In the meantime, it's just been prepping and getting the environment ready. The environment looks amazing. I'm really excited to get that out.
Scene 38 was a passion project. You're huge on YouTube and you make some really cool stuff, but this isn't what you're doing day to day. What you're doing day to day is a job. What is that job? You said you do a lot of previs work?
I do a lot of work on previs stuff with stunt coordinators. What that entails is basically they'll come with a visual storyboard of what the final action piece will be. And they'll need a lot of like visual effects indicators, like, oh, this guy gets his arm chopped off, or she can shoot fire out of her hands or whatever. And they want something that they can show and be like, hey, this is exactly what's going to be happening. This is what we want to see in the final product. This is how we've designed our action. And so they'll come to me and show me what they're doing and kind of get my input on what I think will work in terms of the visual effects. And we'll kind of plug away. They'll submit that and it'll get approved or not. I started in YouTube like 10 years ago, and that's sort of, I was posting up a lot of superhero content, like videos and stuff. It was just me learning visual effects. And I got like a little bit of a following there. Some people within the film industry started following those tutorials and they decided to hit me up to work on their projects instead of trying to just do the effect themselves. And that was sort of my into the industry.
Mr. Menagerie, right, was your VFX
Hey, Mr. Menagerie. Yeah, I was surprised you found that. I don't think I've mentioned that anywhere. That was really fun, and it wasn't intentional to kind of break into the industry that way. It was just purely like learning and trying to get feedback on my work. That kind of transitioned me into the visual effects world, and it's kind of been ongoing. And it was funny to return to YouTube with Scene 38 and sort of start over a little bit again, but it's just never been like a bill payer, so to speak. So it's going to be a little bit of a side project.
It sounds like you have one of the coolest freaking jobs on the planet.
You probably are aware of this, but your content is used exclusively in previs world. Like all the stunt coordinators I know that use visual effects for their previs, everyone has a subscription to Footage Crate. I used a lot of your stuff on Terminator Dark Fate. We had a lot of previs that we needed to do, and so I used it constantly on that. There's a show called Jupiter's Legacy that'll be coming out, and I did a lot of previs work on that, and that's all superhero stuff. Your guys' stuff I used every episode. With previs, you only have a short period of time, but it's important to have like the right tools and assets. And with your guys' library, there is always something. It's funny. I'm like, I don't even know how to describe what I'm looking for, and I'll just start typing in words. I'm like, yeah, that little green flame is exactly what I was looking for this superhero.
That's awesome. So a lot of our viewers want to be full-time YouTubers, but then I'm sure a huge percentage are using YouTube as a platform to work on their skill sets, whether it's like post-production, visual effects, stunt work, acting. I mean, for you, it seemed like it worked out really, really well where people came to you. Do you have any like tips or suggestions for people who want to use it to get like into the industry?
For tips, it would just be about getting your work out there and seen. You can make the most amazing thing, but if it doesn't get the eyes on it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your skill set is if no one knows that you exist. Maybe Scene 38 is a good example. We took something that a lot of people loved and we didn't screw it up. we didn't do it for the views, like at all. We didn't do it for any other reason than we thought it was like going to be amazing. It's a little bit like working in Hollywood, like YouTube. There's a lot of luck and stuff. I think that's involved in what's trending and how you get seen.
Out of Scene 38, has there been any like job proposals?
I was surprised at how little my professional career changed. It's more Star Wars fans came at it, and there are a lot of people in the industry that love Star Wars, and so I've talked to a good amount of them. Every time I've been on set since then, people have seen Scene 38, so that's been interesting because it's lent me a level of credibility that maybe I didn't have before. A lot of times on set, a visual effects supervisor has to really assert themselves to get something done. So far, I've actually had like a lot less trouble with that since then. There was a pretty big commercial job that I did recently that's not out yet. And they're like, oh yeah, and our visual effects guy is the guy who made this. And it's just like a thumbnail of Scene 38. It's been really awesome getting some emails from people who were just like, oh, I watched this scene with my dad when I was like 5. And I watched it again with him now that I'm 40.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
like we both cried again. I don't know, there's been a lot of touching stuff like that. Hopefully we'll have some more tears on Cloud City, and they're positive tears, and we'll see.
I do have several speed questions for you. Totally random questions, but give them your best answer, all right?
All right.
So it is the zombie apocalypse. Any superhero that you can choose is your bodyguard.
I'd have to go with Superman.
I'm guessing that there's probably some super-powered zombies as well.
No, I'm sticking with Superman. Superman's always been my guy. He's my favorite superhero,
That's
so I'm sticking with them.
Do you enjoy pineapple on pizza?
Oh, yeah. But like sort of a late convert to it.
I like it too, man. I feel like this is going online, so you might get a lot more hate mail than you got for Scene 38, but pineapple and pizza, sweet and savory, it's a good balance, I gotta say.
It's a great balance, and I'm totally open to more hate mail because I need to mix it up. Like, let's go outside of Star Wars for a minute. I'm okay with that.
Are you excited for The Boys Season 2 on Amazon Prime?
Yes, I really like Season 1. They turned a lot of tropes upside down. I feel like my visual effects background has always been like geared towards superhero type effects. I loved everything that they did.
If you had to pick your favorite martial arts movie, what movie would it be?
Oh man, maybe Enter the Dragon. I don't know. I like Ip Man too.
So you have a choice. You either lose both your eyeballs or both your arms. Which would you choose to sacrifice?
Oh man, we can't trade like an arm and a leg?
No, you can't. You can't do like a 1-in-1. No, it's eyes or your arms. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna get rid of my eyes. I'm hoping that there will be some benefits that offset the loss of vision.
If you had to battle a crazed gorilla or 2 crocodiles to the death, and you were only armed with a steak knife,
I can't run away. There's no
you're like
together.
in the pit, man.
I'm going with crocodiles because that would be my strategy. I feel like the silverback gorilla, I'm not going to outrun him.
Nope.
I'm not going to outstrength him. I might get a couple stabs in, but he could probably crush me with one hand and ragdoll me. Watched enough Crocodile Hunter.
I think you made the right call. It's a tough situation to find yourself in to begin with.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about this, so I'm prepped.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with next. Can you tell the viewers where to follow your work?
Sure, man. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, there's the Fix It and Post YouTube channel that we have been talking about, and mostly active on Instagram, and that's Fix It and Post as well.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Cool. All right, Chris. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too. See you.